So good morning, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you're joining from. My name is Tolu Makinde, and I'll be your host for this webinar. We have a host of experienced IT professionals um, on the line this morning. I think combined among all of us, there's probably 100 years of IT experience, if I'm not mistaken. So we have a ton of experience online tonight, ready, or this morning rather, ready to speak to us about your experience in the IT field. As we all know, technology use has been increasing every single year because new technology will continue to come out. And because of that, there are needs for technology professionals. There is a misnomer that you need a 4-year degree to get into the field, but I don't think that is the case, as you will probably find out from the presenters this morning. Nothing wrong with getting a 4-year degree, but it is not a necessity to enter the IT field. So, but in addition, the money is good, the pay is good, which you will probably hear from everyone as well. So, the reason why we're doing this is basically to expose how anyone interested in IT can enter into the field. It does take hard work. It does take dedication and relentless effort to make it happen. So it's not like, you just snap your finger and you're in it. You got to work hard to get into it. So once again, welcome to today's webinar. A few house rules. Please turn on your camera if possible. That's one. Please mute your line unless you are speaking. And if you have questions, please type it in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat. We'd like to get through all the presentations first, and then we can open up the line for anyone that may have additional question afterwards. And this deck that you're seeing will be sent out to everyone that registered after the webinar as well. Before we jump into it, are there any questions? First of all, any questions? I think we should be good to get going. All right. So the first is Mr. Brian Duckett. So if you can help me move to that next slide. Mr. Brian, you are an AWS developer, an engineer, and solutions architect. Could you please tell us about yourself, your background, and how you got into becoming an AWS developer?
Certainly. Yeah, so I started off, I would say 2006. I began to become interested in the IT field. About 2008 is when I set up my profile on what used to be Upwork, or now is Upwork, used to be Odesk. And so I started to get some freelance work going. I had quite a few hours, like 600 and something hours of freelance work under my belt before venturing off into the contract space where I work as a contractor, for various companies and that sort of thing. Um, but yeah, basically, I began by, um, essentially learning a programming language. So back then it was PHP. So that's what was popular, PHP, MySQL. I got into Joomla, WordPress, Magento, as far as being a sort of I don't know, kind of webmaster sort of thing, developing some custom modules and plugins and that sort of thing for various customers when I was freelancing on Odesk, Upwork now.
Okay.
And so,
Yeah.
basically, one of the contracts that I received was with a reputable news company. And so, once the contract was over, I was actually hired. Can you still hear me?
Yes, yes, we
Okay.
can hear you.
I was still hired full time. I was hired full time, and so that's where my career sort of began in 2012. And so from there, basically, there was a big rewrite of the application that we were developing on. So in 2016, basically, that company moved to the cloud, and that's where my cloud journey began. And so from 2016 to 2018, basically, I was just, just studying and learning and building and, basically, sharing what I learned with my coworkers and that sort of thing. 2018, basically, is when I received, when I went out and actually tried to get certified as a developer. And so I was successful in that adventure. So 2018, basically, I was an AWS certified developer associate. Um, from there, I went on to get more certifications. So I had a DevOps professional in AWS database
What
specialty.
what what
And
does AWS stands for?
so AWS actually stands for Amazon Web Services. So um, it's the entity that essentially powers like Amazon.com. And so all of the services basically that where you go on Amazon.com and order your stuff and all the logistics behind that, basically they use the web services as the infrastructure that powers all of that interactivity, basically. So um,
Okay. You have three roles listed here: AWS developer, AWS engineer, AWS solutions architect. Do they build on top of each other?
They do, yes. So you basically you kind of enter into being a developer by like I said, learning your software programming language of choice. When in my day it was PHP, but more recently some of the more popular languages are like Golang, Node.js, Python, Java, .NET, that sort of thing. And so so basically you start there, you develop skills and essentially coding up applications and deploying them and that sort of thing. And from there, you move on to being an engineer. And so an engineer is essentially when you're deploying as a developer, all that infrastructure is sort of set up for you, but it's the engineer that actually sets that up. And so all of the kind of back end infrastructure that a developer would use to deploy and release their applications uh, would be um, would be coded up and configured by the engineer. And then the solution architect essentially is a kind of overlapping or basically kind of an umbrella. And so they kind of bridge not only the technical side, but also the business side and the QA side together. And so when you're working in that particular role, basically you have to be aware of not only the the long-term um, effects of your decisions as far as um, diagramming out and architecting a solution for a particular business problem. But you also have
Okay.
to be aware of costs. You have to be aware of, basically where to spot the bottlenecks and alleviate those via the QA team. You also have to be in tune with the engineering team to basically be able to build out your solutions essentially with in a timely manner because sometimes builds can take a while to complete. So so yeah,
Yeah.
so basically
Let,
you start as a
let me
developer.
let me
Go ahead.
yeah, let me ask you another question. How long did it take you to become an AWS developer?
So I would say 2 years I was studying from 2016 to 2018. Um,
Okay.
Prior to that, to be just become a software developer, um, I studied from like 2006 to 2008, where I
Mhm.
learned like PHP, XML, CSS. I became like a CSS expert, which is how I got hired with the news
What
company.
does CSS stands for?
Cascading style sheets. So it's front
Okay.
end.
So
So,
folks,
yeah,
there's a lot of acronyms in IT. You're gonna
yes,
you have to get used to acronyms.
yeah,
There's a
yes.
billion of them.
Yes, there are definitely. Yeah, so don't ask me what PHP stands for. I forgot. But yeah, so yeah, basically I became a CSS expert, basically a front end engineer, where now I mostly work on the back end of applications.
So tell me, as an AWS developer, because that's the starting point,
Mhm.
what is the average starting salary in 2024?
So what I could find, it's much higher than what I made coming into the field. But basically it's around 98,000 a year. Um, and so, I guess the the best way to get into the field right now, it appears to be like the boot camps. And so boot camps are usually like 3 months, and then you can come in basically with whatever the boot camp specialized in and make about 98,000 a year to start.
Excellent. Excellent. So what do you enjoy the most being an AWS technology professional?
I enjoy the puzzle. So I'm a puzzle guy. And so these solutions essentially they require a lot of pieces to be wired together. So not only do you have the code itself. You have the AWS services that need to be wired together. You need to wire together third-party CI/CD, so continuous integration and continuous deployment solutions, as well as security, which is always top of mind. And then networking is a big thing also. So yeah, it's the puzzle of putting all the pieces together. That's what I enjoy the most. The Most of the time I can work remote. I've pretty much been remote regardless of where I worked since 2019. And the compensation, is fairly is fair, so for the work that we do. So
You can't complain about that one, huh?
yeah, I can't complain. I can't complain.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But Brian, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure interviewing you as an AWS developer.
Thank you.
Any question, if you have a question, please put it in the chat. In the end, we'll open up questions for everybody so you can unmute and ask your questions. But if you have something pressing right now, please just put it in the chat. Thank you so much, Brother Brian.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to the next. So next we have a business analyst in the house by the name of Adedotun Adewumi. Where is Brother Dotun? Can you
Hi.
please show your face? Where are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm here.
Good morning. Good morning. Could you please introduce yourself to all these wonderful people this morning?
No problem. My name is Adidotun Adeomi. I am a business analyst. I am 28 years old, and I love what I do.
What is a business analyst?
Yeah, so in very, very simple terms, a business analyst is the middle person between the business, which is the functional team, and the dev team, the technical side of the business.
Okay.
Hmm.
Can you,
You want me to elaborate?
dig in a little
Sure.
deeper,
Sure.
please?
Of course, of course. So every corporation that you can imagine has an IT team, right? And a lot of enhancements will be developed in-house by the IT team. But what a lot of people don't know is that also a lot of enhancements that an IT team would work on also come from the business, right? So depending on the application, depending on the ask, whatever the case is, there are a good number of requests, enhancements, developments projects that actually come from the business. So what I do as a business analyst, or what every corporation needs, is someone that understands business needs very, very well, while is also in tune with technical requirements and also in tune with the IT side that is able to understand the business and translate functional requirements as technical requirements to the IT team.
Okay. So basically, a BA is a go-between between the business and the IT team.
Yes, I'm the bridge that connects both worlds.
So tell us what a typical day as a business analyst, what does a typical day look like?
Sure. So, a typical day as a business analyst would begin with your morning meeting. So, with my morning meeting, there are two business analysts, myself and another gentleman. Week by week, we take turns in running what is called a stand-up, right? So, our weekly or daily stand-ups are basically a morning check-in or an afternoon check-in, whatever the case may be. But it's essentially a check-in with your development team, right? So as I'm running my stand-ups, I would be using our project management tool called Jira, and I'll be looking at all the cards that have been on a specific Jira board. For our case, we have our development board. That's what it's called. So as I go on the development board, I can select ticket by ticket or developer by developer to see what exactly they're working on, if they have any blockers, if I can help with those specific blockers, and also to see in
What
what's.
what is a blocker?
I'm glad you asked. So a blocker essentially is when a developer is working on a ticket that I have assigned, right? For example, I assigned a ticket and the developer is blocked. Developer doesn't understand a specific part of that ticket, or there could be a technical blocker. Maybe a developer needs to change a flow and is unable to change that flow. But whatever the case may be, a blocker is essentially something that is blocking that developer, that specific developer, from getting that ticket from the selected for development stage all the way to the deployment or deployed stage. So essentially something that's preventing him from
Okay,
moving
so
it from start to end.
excellent. So if I can put it in my own terms, as a BA, you will go to the business, ask them there for their requirements. What do they want to do? What do they want to achieve? And you will log it into Jira, and the developers will log into Jira and pick up what you have documented in Jira, and they will go and do the work.
Yes, sir.
Then what happens after that?
So I'll just add to what you said before I go to that next part. A lot of the times, especially in my corporation, they actually come to me. So before I've even had
Okay.
a chance to reach out to them, I have stakeholders, which would be team leads on the business side, reaching out to me to set up time to put in their requests. What was the other half of your question? You said what happens after what?
Yeah, what happens after they pick up your ticket in Jira?
Right.
What do they do after that?
Right. So we have different things that happen as a ticket moves from, like I said earlier, on the beginning stage all the way to the end, right? So when a
Mhm.
developer picks up a ticket, it goes from selected to development to in progress. In progress essentially means that the developer has worked on it. If the ticket is blocked, it can move to the block stage. Hopefully, we try to avoid that as a business analyst, try to avoid any blockers. So after the in progress stage, it will move to what is called PO sign off. PO sign off would be myself or the other business analyst that will essentially go over the work and approve and say, yes, this is exactly what the stakeholders requested for. And this ticket is good to move on to the next stage, which will be called QA sign off. So the developers, once they get my PO sign off, will promote their changes into QA sign off. What QA essentially means is just quality analysis. So the quality analysis expert on our team will analyze the requirements that I have provided and also analyze the work the developer has done to ensure that it's a perfect match. Once we get QA sign off, then it's deployment ready. And then after deployment ready, it goes into production. And then after production, oh, sorry, before production, we'll do what is called UAT, which is testing, which is a specific testing for the users, user acceptance testing, so they can say, hey, this is what you asked for. This is what the dev team has provided. Is this acceptable to you? And once UAT testing is successful, then we can move into the deployments and production.
Now, how long does it take to become a BA?
This is this is a very interesting timeline. I would say so for me, I became a BA within a matter of I think it was about 8 months. And that is because I was studying day in and day out. I was probably studying about 14-hour days. So I don't know if everybody would be in a situation where they'll be able to study 12 to 14-hour days. So I would always give a recommendation of at least a year to a year, about 3 to 4 months.
Okay. So 12 to 16 months, basically.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And as a BA, do you come in as a full BA or do you come in as a junior BA when you're first starting up? And what is the average starting salary?
Yeah, so those um those specifications would be based off of your skill set and also be based off of the certifications that I listed below. You can come in as a junior business analyst if you do not have certain certifications. Um, you can also really come in as a mid-level business analyst if you possess those certain certifications. So I think it depends on how far you push yourself in your journey and how far you push yourself in terms of obtaining the necessary certifications. And then
All right.
when it comes to the starting salary, um, the lowest, and I mean really mean just, lowest, no negotiation, just take the first offer and you're happy to be there. Um, I would say lowest that I've seen, really, really lowest that I've seen is 70,000. Um, but that is, starting. And like I said, that's just no negotiation. Take the first offer they give you, you run into it, which I don't recommend.
Hey,
Always,
but it's not bad for starting salary.
it's definitely not bad. It's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
It's not
All
bad.
right,
Yes,
Mr. Adedotunmu, thank you so much for your time. I
no problem.
appreciate you coming on and telling us about what it means to be a BA.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Before we go to the next one, there is a question in the chat by Mr. Ola Stan. I don't know if it's a Mr. or Mrs. It said, with zero IT background, how long can it take a person to be AWS, to be an AWS? I'm assuming AWS developer. I think, Brother Brian, you did say about 2 years to learn the programming language and everything else, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So I would say I would give it about 2 years of consistent study. There are a lot of different things that you would have to kind of memorize. And then a lot of things. So I guess the plan is, you learn and then you build something. And so that's the best way to kind of get experience. And so I had the opportunity to actually build while I was learning because the company I was working at was actually making a shift to the cloud at the time, and that was encouraged. But if you're doing this on your own, essentially, I would say start by picking a subject matter, learning that, and then building that out on AWS. And AWS offers a free tier for a lot of their services. And so you can most likely get anything that you want to, basically experiment with, basically built and deployed into the cloud for free.
All
So
right.
that's where I would start.
All
Basically
right.
just, so there are a lot of, programs out there. The one I use is a cloud guru, acloudguru.com. And so that'll get you started as far as now that's not a free learning platform, but it is good. That's where I basically started off my learning adventure.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
And for everyone, I see questions. Are we recording this? Yes, we're live streaming this on YouTube. So as your live stream is recorded automatically we can send the link out as well as to where it's being live streamed. All right, let's move on to the next, please. All right, we have cybersecurity next by Emmanuel Oludele. Brother Emmanuel, where are you?
Hello, can you see me?
Yes, we can see you somehow. Could you please tell us about yourself? Maybe raise your camera a little bit so it's showing more of your face.
Oh, okay.
There you go. All right. So tell us about yourself, Brother Emmanuel, and what does enterprise risk management, IT risk and compliance mean?
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Oludele. I'm into the business of security, basically enterprise risk management. So basically what I do is in an organization, I'm in the broad front, making sure the organizational security is in place. I'm in the forefront to make sure everything is in place in respect to security, and make sure to every firm and every companies do have a policy and procedures that they need to follow to protect and secure the security of the organization. So for an example, in order for an organization to function, there have to be some um, policies and procedures that is put in place in order for the organization to function properly. So my responsibilities are to make sure I'm designing and implementing those securities, putting them in place, and also making sure I'm more like a gateway to make sure an unauthorized intruder cannot come into cannot maneuver or modify any type of security coming into the organization. And as well, I also do a lot of stakeholders engagement, working with, I'm representing the organization, working with third parties, vendors, and suppliers. So my responsibilities are more like, checking up with these third party vendors to make sure their standards and policies and procedures are compliant with ours. So what does that mean? It means in order for my company to do business with your company, I want to make sure your company have all the necessary security parameters, necessary security controls, security parameters. I'm going to dive onto what controls and all those means. But I have to make sure your companies have all the necessary controls in place. That is making sure their doors are closed, windows are locked, making sure that doors have a lock. That is just on a layman terms. I could be saying something like making sure antivirus is in place, making sure they have security like intrusion detection, intrusion protection. Those are more like identifiers that tells you that, oh, this person, an unauthorized person is coming into your organization. Just for an example, let's say you're working remote, you have a system at home, and someone is remoting your system from elsewhere, but in order for them, when they are remoting, getting into the system, we have already IDS and IPS in place in the system that's going to tell us that, oh, an unauthorized individual is coming, is trying to log into your system. So I make sure all those are in place, security controls are in place. That is for the third party. But for the enterprise itself, I make sure policies are being designed and implemented for the company.
Yeah, you're using a lot of terminology that most of us may not fully
So,
understand.
so
So if I were to put it in layman terms, let's say, I have a house, the house has a front door and a back door. Before anybody can come into my house, I want
yeah,
to make sure that first of all, they look right,
yeah.
right? You don't want
Mm-hmm.
no crazy person in your house, number
Mm-hmm.
one. Number two, if they're coughing and wheezing, maybe they
Mm-hmm.
got COVID or something, you don't want them to come into your house and give everybody else COVID, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
basically, you're performing those checks before they come in,
Before they come in.
right? Make
Exactly.
sure they're healthy, make sure they're actually people you're expecting, not just some
Expected.
random people
Yeah.
off the street that would
Yeah.
just come into your house. Is
Exactly.
that is that analogy
Yeah.
a good way to
Yeah.
to
Exactly.
describe it?
Yeah, that's more like it.
Okay.
Like I said, when I say it's IT risk and compliance, so the inside parts is what you've just defined. It's like me having a home, defining that in the home there have to be a door, there have to be a window, there have to be an AC, there have to be a bathroom in order for you to call it a home. And as well, working with a vendor and the supplier, it's me now expecting the whoever is coming into my home. I want to make sure you're putting on a shoe. You can't come into the home with your bare foot. You have to make sure you're putting on a shirt before coming into this home. You can't just randomly, and you have to knock before coming into this home. Those are the policies. Those are policies and procedures that has been put in place. And that has to be followed.
I don't know if it's me, but you're breaking out a little bit. Is that for everybody else too, or just me?
I can hear him well.
I can hear him well.
Okay. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's my network that's acting up. But let me ask you another question. How long does it take to become a cybersecurity professional? At least well, for enterprise risk management, because I think there are other side of cybersecurity. But for enterprise risk management, how long does it take, and what do you need to do?
Well, it's not as difficult as people think. It just requires you to be ready, ready to be serious and to be ready for this transitioning. I could tell you could do a 4 to 6 months program boot camp. But that takes a whole lot of readiness, because when you're doing the 4 to 6 months program, they're more like teaching you like a 7 to 8 years of an experience. You know, you are not, when you're doing those boot camp, it's not like you coming in as a fresher or you coming in as a starter. So you have to be on your 10 toes to want to study. I want to move to the next level. And you need lots of seriousness. About 4 to 6 months can get you into a cybersecurity role.
Okay. And you listed here that average starting salary is from 120K to is that from 4 to 6 months of boot camp?
Yeah,
120K? Really?
yeah.
Wow.
But the thing is, you have to know what you're doing, because uh, this is different. You are not going to Georgia State it's not like you're going to Georgia State to do a 2 4 year program and you're telling them, oh, well, I mean, coming back to tell them that I just left the university or I've just finished up. Nah, I'm coming in as a manager. I'm coming in like a senior role, because during my boot camp, I had hands on deck. You know, I'm not just coming in. I'm coming. I have hands on deck. I could run things. I could have conversation with top managers and implement things. So that's the. But basically, cybersecurity roles is around 120 to 160 as a for an average. And
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
yeah.
That's pretty awesome. And I'm assuming, well, you listed a few certifications here. Can you explain those certifications for us, please?
Sure, good. I know I listed Udemy, Jason Dion. That's very instrumental. Jason Dion, it's more before getting into cybersecurity. It's
Oh,
like,
no. I'm talking about the certifications. You have CISA,
oh yeah, yeah,
CRESC, Security Plus, right?
yeah. Well,
What do those mean? And do you have to take exams to get the certification?
yes, you have to register and take exams to get the certification. CISA is certified in security audits. The CIRIX is certifying risk information security controls. So I will for my own, I will advise to start with Security Plus. Security Plus is the bedrock of cybersecurity. That is where you know your 1+1, 2+2, 2-1. You know, you have to know those things first. Then you can move your step to
Okay.
the CRX. Yeah.
And that's where the Udemy Jason Dion comes into
Exactly.
place
Yeah.
because that's a security plus on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, sir. I
Thank you for
appreciate
having
you
me.
telling us about what it means to be an enterprise risk management professional. It's a mouthful. Thank you.
Enterprise is more like an organization. So you're a security manager of an organization.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having me.
sir. All right. Because of time, let's move on to the next, please. Who do we have next? Oh, another cybersecurity. This time we have Brother Shileola Akerimade. Brother Shile, where are you?
I am. I'm here. Can you see me?
Yes, yes, I see you now. Can you please tell us about, so this is another side of cybersecurity. This is pen test and ethical hacking. Can you please tell us about yourself and what is pen test and ethical hacking?
All right, and I will try as much as possible to explain in plain English. I will try not to use any technical language here. Well, let me say how I started in 2003, 4. I wanted to go in 2003. So I wanted to go in for nursing. So when I get to see the person I'm supposed to speak with, then we started talking. Then where I was talking, told me that, no, this is not the right thing for you. You better go into IT the way you are talking. I said, but I do have some degree from where I'm coming from. I'm thinking about, I say I have physical health education. So I want to do something in line with that. They say, no, the way you're talking, go into what is going to benefit you. So, okay. So that was how I decided to switch to IT. So when I started with CCRI. Then from that place, I went to University of Phoenix to go and have my bachelor degree there in cybersecurity. Then after completing that, then, before I completed the first certification I sat for was a CompTIA Plus. CompTIA Plus basically it deals with different type of systems. They give you foundation knowledge of how computer works, how you can, maneuver, how you can set up your computer, you can change different type of hard drive systems to your computer. So you have a basic knowledge of how it works. Then I started working as a system administrator. Then I worked with the EMC. From EMC, I started working as a QA engineer there, not as a security engineer there. Because before I graduated, I started working with them. So basically, then later I decided to go back for my cybersecurity some years ago. And then basically, what is penetration testing? Basically, it is an act or a process where you want to make sure that the system or the application you are interacting with is not exposed to hackers. It's not exposed to people that can take advantage of your system or that can steal your information. Because nowadays, we have a lot of people out there that want to steal your information just to make money. So it happened to, what is the name of this credit score company that it happened to, where they stole a lot of information there that cost them, millions of dollars.
Experian?
Experian, there's another one again in Alpharetta, I forgot what they call them. So because they did not do a proper, some companies do not want to spend the money because if you have to hire a consultant to come and investigate your system, then it costs a lot of money. So that was why they spent more than what they should have spent on an ethical hacker or a penetration tester to come in. So that's what we do generally. We evaluate your system. We run some tests on it. Basically, we check it and make sure that it's not exposed. We can set some malicious code there. When I say malicious code basically is to layer people to click on that, then so that we can get into your system and see what is there. So we do all kind of tests like that to make sure that this system is not vulnerable to people that can steal your information. So that's what we do basically, and then we write some reports, and then that's what we do. That is penetration testing and ethical hacking. Now, cybersecurity is very broad, it's very big. We have people that do like Brother Lule just said, we have people that do vulnerability assessment. In my own case, I do both. I can do vulnerability assessment, I do ethical hacking, I do penetration testing. This require a lot of long experience because I've worked as a QA engineer, so I'm exposed to different type of system. Then I now have my bachelor degree in cybersecurity. So I can leverage both together because I've also worked as a system administrator understanding how the system works, understanding how to create what we call Active Directory, all those stuff, very important. So that really exposed me to a lot of things to be able to know when a system is vulnerable or is not vulnerable. Like I said, when I say vulnerable, that is exposed to people that can steal your information.
So if I were to summarize everything you said, in IT, they say data is gold now. It's like gold. Your data is as valuable as gold. So basically, you're protecting the organization's data
Yeah.
by trying to break into your own system so you can close those loops, right? Am I correct with that?
Correct. Correct.
So basically, you're testing your own security, for lack of a better word, your own security system. How secure is our system? You're testing it yourself to making sure that your system is secure, and
Yeah.
you shut all the loopholes and you shut all the doors and everything.
Yes.
So okay, I was gonna go in a different direction, but let me stop, because some of us on the other side, we don't like you guys because you're always shutting all the doors. We have to ask you to open up a port for us to use, and you'd be like, I'm not opening that port because of security, but you know who I am, and you know that I'm already authenticated or I'm a good guy. So why are you so hard on developers in opening up ports for them to use? I see a lot of heads nodding. So if you can help us understand that from that perspective, that'd be great.
So the reason is that I'll give you an example. That was one company that I was working with. So they open a port for a QA engineer to be able to do testing they need to test. Okay. The developer forgot to close the port. He forgot completely. So which allow an outsider who was just poking around, and just, oh, this is open. Let me get in. Okay, that is the main reason we just say no, because as human beings, we are, bound to forget. We're not perfect. So in order for us to make sure that nothing is left behind, we just take because prevention is better than cure. It's better than cure. So that is why we say it's gonna be prevention. It's gonna be prevention. We don't want to do any curing. It's too difficult to do curing.
Thank you for that explanation. You went the traditional route. You went to university, got your degree in cybersecurity, but as a penetration tester or ethical hacker, is it possible to do it without going through the traditional university route?
Yes, it is possible. You can take boot camp, but I spoke with some people that took boot camp. They said that it wasn't that easy for them that 6 months, that they had to go back again and spend another 6 months for them to be able to get on the job. So, which making it 1 year. But there are people, that spend 6 months, but which means that you may have to spend 10 hours a day 10 hours a day for you to be able to get a job, because they're going to, when you get on or during the interview, the questions they ask is more of on how do I put it, that's the language they use. It's more of something that's they're going to ask you based on what you have done.
Okay, use case scenario.
Yes, use case is going to be based on scenarios. And if you have not done it before, they will know. They will know.
Okay.
So that's why, to me, you gotta be you must be ready for that 6 months to spend at least 10 hours a day, and you have to do your hands-on for your own to be, because it's also require to have a knowledge of at least one language, either Linux scripting, shell scripting, power scripting, or Python or Java or JavaScript or PHP. It requires at least one, because when you are writing your malicious code, you got to write it in a language that you know. Now, you don't have to know it to the level of developer. No, the good thing about this is that once you know the foundation, because I took programming language in college, I have to have no choice. I have to take that. So I do have the basic knowledge. I do have the basic knowledge of Java, I have basic knowledge of PHP, I have basic knowledge of Python. but not to the external developer. But you got to have the knowledge, because when you are testing sometime, you are going to test the code and make sure that they meet the requirement of the security guidance.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you spending time with us this morning to walk us through what it means to be a penetration tester as well as an ethical hacker. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next, please. Salesforce CRM, Brother Akinladipo. How are you, sir?
Great, sir. Thank you for having me.
Please tell us what is Salesforce CRM and tell us something about yourself.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Salesforce is basically a cloud-based software. It helps, I'll break it down like this. It helps teams work better together. If you have businesses, any business, any industry, what it does is your business may use what we have like a Salesforce app, like you have on your phones, you have apps, but you can have a combination of apps from sales, service, marketing, whatever it may be. But what it does is it improves your team's communication, automates repetitive tasks so you don't have to make mistakes in, duplicates or things like that. But most importantly, it improves the productivity with the help of what we're calling trusted AI, which is something I'm super involved right now. I'm so excited about. So in a nutshell, that's what Salesforce is. What I do, I'm a Salesforce consultant slash admin. So my business goes about resolving issues, gathering requirements, like brothers talking about the BA role mentioned, gathering requirements and providing solutions for them. How I got into Salesforce is another story. So my background is in chemical engineering. I worked in the oil and gas field. And it got to a point where I was tired of traveling, seeing snakes on your job and all kinds of weird things. So I was like, the money is good, but I need to see my family. I didn't have Christmas, the holidays I wasn't part of. So like I need a life change. And I wanted to work remote. So that the word remote really got me. So stumbled upon a couple of clients I'd worked with, and they were transitioning to the tool as well. And I asked a couple of friends who I knew were in the field, and long story short, as they say, the rest is history. So,
Okay. So did you go through a boot camp to become a CRM professional, or what?
good.
How did you do it? How did you transition?
Okay, so when I learned about it, I went through YouTube. There's so many resources on YouTube, but luckily for me, I also looked into what we call a Salesforce community, where they have people that are willing to help you. Like you go on Trailhead, it's called trailhead.com, and you just sign up. It literally breaks down step by step what you need to know from the beginning of Salesforce to it just breaks everything down for you. So I literally tell people anybody can become a Salesforce admin. It doesn't matter what background you have. Even if you're selling meat on the street, you can become a Salesforce admin. All you need to do is literally put in the work, put in the time and dedication. And trust me, the sky's the limit with this industry.
In terms of time, how long does it take? Let's
Okay.
say I go on trailhead.com,
Hmm.
I register for free, I started going through the courses.
Yes.
How long does it take for me to become a Salesforce admin?
Salesforce admin is a very broad spectrum, right? So I would say ideally, if you can put in the time and effort, you should be able to get ramped up in 6 to 12 months. Ideally, this is literally putting in time, practicing. Don't just, it's the kind of thing where you pick it up, and if you don't go back and practice, it's gonna skip your head. That's for me. So it's like riding a bicycle. You have to keep practicing, you have to keep going. So it just comes second nature. So 6 to 12 months would be the ideal time frame.
6 to 12 months for someone that has no IT
No
background
IT background.
whatsoever.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And okay, so after the 6 months or the 12 months,
Hmm.
what is the starting salary to enter into this field?
Great question. In the US, I would say between 70 to 85 is a good starting point. We're looking at where the industry is today. Follow up on that is they're actually giving free certification uh, tutorials for people who want to get into the AI spectrum, which is where the future is. So it's an incentive for people to, they're looking for people who are willing to learn and willing to grow. So I feel if you can get certifications, that will also boost your effort in getting more pay when you go for interviews. You know, they look at those kind of things. If you have a admin 201, which is the starting point. Actually, no, there's an associate admin certification. There's so many certifications out there, but it all depends on, you know, what certifications you can get out of the bag. Now the competition is there, so I would say learning through trailing and at least getting one certification will put you through the door.
Okay. Now, one last question. I've been asking, we've been talking about the good things with
Yes.
everybody else, but I want to ask, what do you dislike the most about being a Salesforce CRM professional?
You had to give me the tough one, right? Okay. What I dislike the most, I dislike when I go into a business proposal or a client and they're telling me they need, let me break it down. They want to build a house, right? And they're telling me they want to build a house, but they don't know what kind of house they want to build. They just know they want to build a house. So you're just giving me, I'm like, I have the tools ready for you, but what kind of house do you want? A duplex? Do you want a bungalow? What do you want? So for me, that's one frustrating thing. So it takes patience. You have to have patience. You need to ask more questions, and you just have to keep going back and forth with, you know, have confidence in having those discussions with your clientele or whoever you do the business with. Other than that, the role right now, like I said, it's getting competitive, so you really have to put in your foot down. You have to keep learning, constant learning. I would rather relax and just watch my soccer and just, you know that I've gotten my certification, but this industry is one industry where you have to constantly learn. You don't, something's always new. Like I just took a maintenance exam yesterday. I've had this certification for over what, 4 or 5 years, but it's something new. It's an IT industry, so they're always implementing new things, new ways. So those are the things I would say some people may not like or dislike, but it's a good challenge.
So one last question before I let you go. What is the most challenging thing you've ever done with Salesforce?
Whew. The most challenging thing I've ever done with Salesforce would be ah, it's actually a good question. It's not even the tool, it's the people. Like I said, them understanding what they want. I had somebody, a client who called me one that was like, I want WhatsApp on Salesforce. I said, why do you want WhatsApp? She said, because our competitor uses WhatsApp. I'm like, but is there a legit reason why you want WhatsApp? Have you looked at the parameters of how you're trying to integrate it? You know, there's so many, you know, preambles, there's so many things to it. So challenging wise, it's just the people. You gotta learn how to work with people in this industry. You have people that will make you cry, that will make you laugh, but at the end of the day, you still gotta do your job. So just keeping it real.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Brother King.
Thank
I
you, sir.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, let's go on to the next. Do we have next?
All right.
We have a pastor among us, Pastor Olumide Okeowo, and you're gonna talk to us about three different technologies, right? A pastor
Yes.
can't just keep it at one. You have to do multiple. So please tell us about yourself and tell us about these technologies that you're gonna share with us.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Olumide Okeowo, and I have cumulative experience about over a decade. Let me just put it at that. And I started off as a project manager, but after some time, I knew I wanted to do IT. So the project manager was in a facility company, and I eventually got into the IT space with a telecoms company, and I happened to be a rollout manager and I had to roll out into different cities. And doing that, I needed to integrate with the customer service, integrated with the CIO, CTO. I was in the center of the mix. So because of that, I developed interest in all the other IT fields. And what now made me to go deeper into IT was when I needed reports, when I needed some reports to make some decision. I don't get them on time. People are wasting my time. Like, what does it take to be the one to generate all these reports? So I started learning about analytics myself. I started doing some courses on Coursera back then, and then was able to get some knowledge, and from there moved into Shell, where there was an opening for SharePoint developer, and I've never heard about SharePoint before. No training in SharePoint, but just heard about that, and I started to learn, read about it. After reading, I took some certification within Shell itself, and boom, I was able to, start going deeper, watch videos. Then I started training people as well, developing solutions on SharePoint itself, creating applications, and later some other technology came up, which is where the Power Apps itself came up, and I started developing apps also because I was used to developing in InfoPath, which is another application development software from Microsoft. From there, I moved into using the Power Apps. And then we use Designer to make our automation, because there's no point developing an app. The next thing they will ask you is, after you have developed the app, how do we automate this app? So you need to learn the technology behind the workflows that will be making it to run. And so I started learning about that too. So now I am, I could work within all the Power Platform space and SharePoint as well. That's the summary.
Wow. So this journey, you said, started many, many years ago. But if I want, what is the entry level for this? Is it be a Power Apps developer, or is it going into SharePoint development, or how, for someone who is new to this field and they said, I'm interested, but I don't know where to start? What would be your counsel to such a person?
Yeah, I think it's even easier now than before. Anyone that wants to start now will enjoy it. Number one, stepping into SharePoint, most of all these other applications were all integrated into SharePoint before. The Designer, the info part, you have to do everything within SharePoint. But later they blow it up and make the SharePoint to just be the portal, providing, developing maybe applications, calendar in organization. Maybe you want to leave absence register, anything you want to just develop. They kept that with SharePoint. Then they took out the Power Apps. So now, if someone wants to go into it, within, if you're really serious about it, within 3 months you should be good. 3 months.
Wow.
90 days. Do 8 hours per day. 8 hours per day. And I'm going to share a link soon where people can go for training. Microsoft made it, like I said, they made it more easier. They have some training on their portal. They have Power Apps in a day. They have Automate in a day. They have Dashboard in a day. So they are 8 hours courses. And before, those courses were over $2,000, where if a company is doing it, they will have to pay for the staff. But right now they are free. You can just sign up and block 8 hours. You know about Power Apps for that day.
Okay. But for folks that are already working but want to switch, how, obviously they don't have 8 hours a day to dedicate to this. Is there a simpler path to take to make this happen in a timely fashion?
Yes. But the sacrifice have to be kept for some days. Like, so if you go to those the portal where you pick the courses, you look for a day that you are available. I mean, if you have to give a sacrifice, you have to sacrifice and like, okay, this particular day, I'm going to be available to just learn about this stuff, and then you do the training. When you have over 1,000 people connecting together and trying to learn, and there's an instructor, and you're not paying for it. And I don't want people to get the fact that because they're not paying for it, they will take it lightly. It's a lot of resource that they are giving you out there, and then just plug in and then do some extra watch on YouTube. Somebody has mentioned that before. There are tons of content on YouTube that you can watch that can help you to be ready.
Okay. So when things are free, people sometimes don't take it seriously,
Seriously,
right? What would you say to help people see the value in what is free and actually take it very seriously? That, I mean, I see a starting salary of $119,000 and they're giving you the training for free. I mean, what should people do to make sure that they take it seriously and not just say, I'm not paying for it, so I'm not going to take it seriously?
Yeah. So one of the things I would say, maybe, I know we have a lot of IT folks here, and I'm not trying to patronize this one, but you have to look at longevity and the relevance of whatever you're doing for the next 50 years, for the next 20 years. So I tell people that when you, like the Azure and all those kind of things you want to do that will stand the test of time, where if technology changes, you are still relevant. So I'll give a quick example. I was working in Shell as the SharePoint developer, and when I was coming to US for my master's, I got into Georgia State. Before getting into Georgia State, I had to come and study MSIS, Master of Science in Information Systems. I submitted my resume like everybody would do, and the at the time of resumption, the first week of resumption, I got a call from someone within the organization that, hey, we saw your resume that you've been a SharePoint developer. You are this person we have been looking for. We need you in this, we need you here. And I started my master getting paid. So they were paying me like a professional, even though I was doing the masters, like, we need you, we need you. One of the things you do is that, and it's fun. For me, it's fun because you just want to be creating things. Just think of it. Oh, I want to create an app that will be able to manage compliance. And I say, okay, just tell me the brief, and then you can go in and develop it easily. And the other beautiful part is you will notice that since I have not been talking about coding. Right. This is something you can get into without knowing too much about coding. And they have even made it easier now with co-pilots, like in the Power Apps, where you have to think of the syntax, some of the functions that you need to put in before when we are writing the code in SharePoint Designer. Now, or what you do in the co-pilot is you use your natural language to just type what you want. I want an Excel to be able to, I want to pull a file from an Excel and put it into this document library. And I want to be able to separate if this one is not existing. You just describe it. And once you describe it in less than 30 seconds, 30 seconds is too much. In less than 10 seconds, it gives you the solution, and then you just plug it in and you are done.
The future, AI. Well, Pastor Lumide, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. So if you are interested in Power Apps, Power Automate, you know where to go to. Before we move to the next person, I just want to share with everybody, look, you're building network here. All these people that have been talking, they have become part of your network. So make use of it. make use of it. If you're truly, truly interested in the IT field, make use of the network. And what I mean by network is they can put you through in learning. They can put you through in maybe job openings. They can put you through in how to do interviews, how to answer technical questions in interviews. So it's not just this is just the front of what is to come or the possibilities that are there. So please don't take this lightly. Don't look at it as, oh, I don't need the information they're giving me. But there is more to it than just the slide and the people that are just talking. There's more to what all of them can provide to us. So please, please make use of it. Like Pastor Lumide said, this is a career, right? You build on it. And once you start, there is no end until you said, you know what, I am done. If you start off making $100,000, guess what? Next year, you're not going to be making $100,000. You're going to be making more. You're going to be 100,000 will be the lowest you're ever going to make. So that's just the starting point. And with 5 years experience, guess what? You're looking at least 25 to 50% increase in what you're making right now. So please think about that. I know, it can be tough, 6 months of boot camp, 1 year of studying. Yes, there is a price to pay, but you pay it now, you will never regret it in your life. All right, I'm done. Let's move on to the next one. All right, we have Brother Claudius Adekomi as project management. Brother Claudius, where are you?
I'm here in California.
Can you tell us about yourself and what you do? And when you say project management, I'm thinking IT project management, not construction project management, right?
Well, the name as project manager or part management implies, responsibility for projects. So no matter what, whether in IT world, whether in your own, whether in construction, it's still a project management. But we're going to talk about project management in IT this time around.
Okay. So tell us about yourself and tell us about what project management is.
Claudio Sadikomi, like my name stays on the screen, and I came from the background of computer science, all the way to computer information tech, down to networking, and that's who I am. And project management is something that it's very important, even in our daily life. We manage everything that we do. We actually manage our money, so you don't overspend. So as the name suggests, project managers are responsible for projects from inception to completion, ensuring the work is done efficiently and satisfactorily. That's the most important part of it.
Okay. You do know I worked as a project manager for a long time.
I
So
know
this
that.
is my specialty. So I got a ton of questions that I could ask you, but I'll keep it simple. How easy is it to become a project manager? Or how difficult is it to become a project manager?
So I would say individually, for me, I learned this from job. I just noticed that basically I was working with a project manager. She's very good and I could see myself in her. And I was doing more of equipment, PC, and all of that. And the way she organized things, the way she set up things, the way she make things happen for me was so easier for me to complete my projects and my taxes and all of that. So I learned from her, and I said to myself, okay, yeah, I can do this. So it depends on individual. So it depends on how you want to go about it. You can just say, okay, I want to become a project manager, and you don't put your mindset to it. Like everybody have been talking about, the timing, the what is it called? What you put into it. What you put into it is what you're gonna get back. Even if you have to go to 4-year degree, you have to be very conscious of what you're doing. So to get into project management, it's not a big deal, I would say. 6 months, to 1 year, you should be good. But the truth of the matter is there is one word: good project manager. Do you really want to become a good project manager, or you just want to be a project manager? And I will give you an example. Whenever I work with people, they call themselves project manager, and they started talking, and I look at the way they structure things, and I'm like, hey, dude, you're going to give me a headache. Let's come back to the drawing board. But like the lady I said, that lady made my life so easier. Even towards Christmas, I was like, no, I know that I'm going to be going home. But for some project manager, you know that you're not going home for Christmas. So that is very important.
Okay. Now, there are different ways of becoming a project manager. Some people go to it fresh from school. Some is, you get some technical background first, and then you go into project management. In your own opinion, which one is better?
In my own opinion, it's much better to have the technical experience first. That translates you into project management. Trust me, if you don't have technical background and you're trying to get into project management in IT, it's a little bit difficult because there are some terminology, there are some things that we discuss during the project, and you start dragging everybody, you don't understand what you're talking about. I'm working on a particular project right now whereby this guy will always refer us to go and buy things on Amazon. And we're talking about network gear. Dude, what are you talking about? Go back. So stuff like that. And then when we start talking about IT terminology and all of that, is not that fluent. So it makes it so difficult for us. So it's good to start from the technical background, then you can easily transit into project management.
But can someone without a technical background become a project manager?
Yes, they can.
Okay. But it would take some learning and hard work to make it happen.
Yes. So I would say, let's say somebody that we want to refresh a network in a building, and you know that you don't have anything, that you have no technical background from networking. All you need to do is just to read, understand the basis of networking. It all boils down how you want to grow. Read, understand the terminology, and then let people in that field. I mean, at times I sit back and let them say whatever they want to say. Okay, then I pen down whatever they are talking about. With that, I can build up a project management for them.
Yeah. Now, as a project manager, what are the core things that you need to know? Is it how to organize a project, how to plan it, how to execute it? What are just the simple core things that one needs to know?
Basically, you need to know how to create and lead your dream team. That is very, very important. Because if your teams are not organized, everything will flop. And we are talking about money on the table. If a company gives you $1 million to go and do something, and you don't know what to do, then you're gonna, like the guy that said, go and buy things off of Amazon. We're gonna keep buying stuff, and then we're not gonna use it. So create and lead your dream team, and then monitor your project progress at all time, and set a deadline. It's very important. Company want to see that, and then solve issues that comes up. That lady, one thing I learned from her was, I was meant to go and pick up something from FedEx, Christmas period. She left everything that she was doing and she ran to FedEx for me because she knows I was swamped with so many things. So solve problem that comes up and then learn how to manage your money.
Okay. One last question. There are different certifications out there to become a project manager. Is PMP still relevant? Do you suggest that people still get PMP if you want to be a project manager?
It is very relevant. All schools will even recommend that you do your PMP. So yeah, it is.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your time. We know it's early in California. You're still sleepy, but it's all
I
right.
know.
No, I'm kidding. All right. I think that is everyone. Brother, can you correct, or do we have more? All right. Now we can open up the lines. Now, from everything that you have heard, are there any questions in your mind that can help you better understand how to get into the IT field? Please raise your hand if you have any question.
But there is a question inside the notes. Somebody's asking about Agile / Scrum Masters project managers.
Yeah, I posted that. I was trying to see, are there any, I mean, project managers, agile scrum or scrum masters? Is it in the same lane? Because I see a lot
I
of,
think they're different, right?
okay.
They're a little bit different because I
A
have an
little bit.
certification. Yes.
Yes.
But Agile, we have the Scrum Master. Their job is to make sure that the job are getting done. They are not they're the leader, but they don't direct the Scrum team.
So they basically facilitate an agile development team. That's what they do.
Okay.
So you have a project going on. The Scrum Master will facilitate the whole process, like the business analyst stand in between. So that's what Scrum Master will do to you.
There's another question here. It says, are business analyst and PM, are they similar?
They are brother and sister.
I can answer that one.
They work together, yeah.
They exactly. You do need a PM and you do need a BA, but they don't do the same thing. So BAs get requirements documented. A PM manages the entire project. So you could have multiple BAs in one project that one PM is managing. So they're not the same. Someone said they're brothers and sisters. So yes, that is correct. Any other questions before we wrap up this afternoon? All right. Okay. There's one question. It says, which coding language do most companies prefer for us? Hold on one second. There's one in the chat. Which coding language do most companies prefer for cybersecurity?
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. It's because you are the one that want to run the test. I know Java is big, but as a ethical hacker, you can write in PHP, you can write in any language. Your job is want to run tests on their system, regardless of what they're doing. So it does not matter.
So basically, coding in cybersecurity, like we said, cybersecurity is broad. We have the architecture side, we have the cloud side, we have the people, and right now we have the AI ML, that is artificial intelligence and machine learning. So we have the part of cybersecurity that does coding. Like I said, I do IT risk and compliance. It's basically, my job is about, let's say 25% technical. It's you don't have to have a broad technical skill to get into cybersecurity. You just have to have the basic knowledge of IT. You don't need no code. You don't need to start doing no coding and all that. Some people do that though, but you don't need to have coding experience to get into cybersecurity.
Yeah, you don't need. So let me ask something there. Python is really, really big now, really, because that's what they use for all this AI something very big now. So
yeah.
And
So
honestly
I
speaking,
wanted to add something. I think it's good because of the audience that we have. It's good for them to learn one coding, like you said earlier. That question came from my daughter. She knows Python, right? So stay with your Python. It's good. Don't drop it because we're saying you don't need too much of coding. You need to have some basic knowledge, and then you can now go into whatever. But still keep learning about the coding you are learning right now.
it's a big advantage. I'll give you an example. We have what we call DAST and SAST, dynamic testing, and the static testing. Static testing, we deal with the coding testing. dynamic testing that we do from outside. We do a lot of testing from outside. You don't have access to the code. Now, if you know a lot of coding, you can combine those two jobs together. That make you more essential commodity. You see, DaaS, you see, SaaS, they need you for. When they see that you know both, so they want, some companies want to use one stone to kill two birds. There are a lot of them out there. So you will be able to be more, versatile, and you can, tell them you want to leave that company that you want to leave because you're both. You're not just one.
Right.
Right. Now, I've been coding since the days of assembly language. I want to tell you, Python is the easiest language I've ever seen. The easiest compared to
English.
all the ones that I've seen. C, C++, C Sharp, Visual Basic. Python is the easiest of them all. So yes, if you want to learn the easiest language, go and learn Python. Now,
Yeah.
someone was going to ask a question earlier before we read the one in the chat. Please go ahead and ask your question. I didn't get who that was.
Good afternoon, Pastor.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is Olayinka. I wanted to, because I tried to connect some other people, also even from Nigeria, to join this webinar. My question is broad, not particularly for me though, but I wanted to know if it's possible to join any class for all these aspects of ITs that we have learned about today. Are there areas that people can just go now after this webinar and say, okay, this is what I want to do? Can I just go there and I start learning?
Okay. Let me try to answer that, and anybody else can jump in as well. It depends on which area of IT that the person wants to do. So, for example, we learned earlier that if you want to learn Salesforce, you can go into trailhead.com and sign up for free, and you can start. The good thing is many of these trainings are online. It's not like you need to sit in a physical class. You don't have to sit in a physical class. You can join online from the comfort of your home. Just make sure you dedicate the time needed to make it happen. So the short answer is yes, but the long answer is it really depends on which area of IT that you want to get into. Even learning Python, like we were talking about, you can go on YouTube, search it. Somebody has put a video up there telling you how to learn Python, and there are so many resources online that you can get for free before you commit to paying something to learn. Some will require that you pay something, but I want to say that half of everything we talked about today, you could learn it for free. You could get it for free without too much, without you costing you $5,000 or whatever. So yes, you can definitely pick it up right after this. If you have questions, you want to follow up with somebody, reach out to the email that you have. We're gonna send out this deck that we just shared after the call. So you have it as a reference. All these people, like I said, they are now in your network. You can reach out to them, understand what, ask them questions. How can they help you to navigate, this massive ocean called IT, to trim down to this specific area that you want to go into, and they can handhold you until you start to swim yourself. So that's why we're doing this. I hope that answers your question, sir.
Very well, sir.
Yes, sir. I want to add something if I can.
Yes, please.
Yes. So I know a lot of people that I talk to that want to get into IT and always ask me, oh, had they help me get into IT? A lot of them individuals are people that already have 4 years of school. They already have this. And the number one question is how long, how long, how long? And when I 8 to 12, 12 to 16, or 12 to 15 months, it always seems to be a discouragement. Always there's this false notion that you can just pick it up and then, maybe next month or the month after you get your six-figure salary. And I want to highlight something that, this is work. If you're really serious about it and dedicated about it, this is work. And I don't want anybody to be necessarily discouraged by any timeline. 12 to 16 months will come whether you, start studying today or you don't. Before you know it, another 12 months would have gone. So I don't want anybody to necessarily get discouraged by, oh, it's 8 months or it's 7 months or it's 6 months or it's 12 months. Those months are going to come regardless. It's all about, are you serious about it? Do you really want it? Because you can get started now and follow those 12 months that are going to come regardless, or you can always be delaying and, never get started. But I want to underscore that it's work regardless, but if you're dedicated and if you're serious, it will pay you and it will reward you.
The journey of 1,000 miles begin with the first step.
And I just wanted to add really quickly that I made the mistake of like replacing study time with prayer time. Don't do that. So basically keep your prayer time, but also add your study time.
All right.
Quickly, just to add to
All
it,
right.
just 1 minute. If you don't have background in IT at all, I will advise you to take at least 12-month bootcamp training. If you just go online to do it on your own, you may be discouraged. Do some, go through the training that is going to encourage you, support you. You can ask live questions from instructors, so that will really, really help you.
And even at that, if you have, yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more that going into IT, because I know that many people always have to ask question, how do I go into IT? The easiest way I always tell them is come in through two ways. Either you want to come in as a project manager or you want to come in as a BA. Those are the easiest routes for you to come in. Right? Coming in first from project management, where you can maybe project administrator or whatever, where you'll be able to understand what is going on in the business. As you meet with them, as you organize meeting, they are talking the technical terms and all that, you are getting more knowledge, more understanding, and then you can now pick interest in which area of IT you want to go. If you want to go the security route, the CIO, the CTO, wherever you want to go, the information systems, you can now decide there. Then as a BA, when you're gathering requirements from the business, it gives you more understanding as well to be able to understand what is being done and what they want to build. You work with the engineers, you work with the developers, and you work with even the project managers. So those two areas are the one I would first recommend for somebody who is just coming in. Come in, if you want to come in, those two. Most times I encourage people, that's what I just tell them. All right.
One last question in the chat. It said, what part of cybersecurity is third-party risk management? What part of cybersecurity is third-party risk management?
Right, Manuel,
okay, Rashida, you want to go? So third-party risk management. Well, it's part of what I do. Is that what the question is? What part?
Yes. So is that enterprise risk management or?
Yes, that's part of enterprise risk management. So basically, I would say it's actually the easiest role in a cybersecurity firm. So what you're doing is you'll be doing a whole lot of stakeholder engagements. You will be working with a lot of vendors and suppliers. but you have to still have a broad understanding of what I want to say framework, but you might not understand what the framework is. You have to understand the framework of your organization. You have to understand some cybersecurity controls that is applicable to your organization. You might not understand these things called controls. Controls are what are like the procedures or what your companies has written down that, oh, before you come inside my house, you have to have shoes, you have to have socks. Those controls before the company you are risk assessing as a third party, before they do business with you, after it's gone through procurement, you have to make sure you're asking them, do you have shoe? You say yes. Do you have socks? Yes. Do you have a shirt on? Yes. Can you show me like something to attest? Because everybody can say yes. I have like a security certification to attest to that. And most time an external auditor has been to your company and assessed you, and you will get a report like a SOC 2 type 2 report, test of control, test of application effectiveness.
Now you're
Don't let me
getting
go
into
into it.
areas that
So,
okay.
but I'm open. The thing is, I know I said it takes 4 to 6 months boot camp to, but it takes a whole lot of continuous learning. You have to be ready. You have to seek this ready to. You have to be hungry. It's not I want to cybersecurity. Yeah, the money is good, everything is, but you have to be ready to continuously improving yourself. I'm open to one-time call. If you are calling me the second time, you have to be ready. If you call me one time, I'll say everything I have to tell you. But if you're not ready, don't follow up.
All right, thank you, Brother Emmanuel. I think with that, we can wrap up the call. I hope this has been valuable to everyone that joined. Again, we will send out the slide deck. This was live stream on YouTube, so you have access to go and rewatch it again. And if you have any further questions or you want to reach out to any of the presenters so they can help you to the next step, please feel free to reach out. Thank you, everybody, for your time. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your Saturday.
Thank you,
Bye,
sir.
everyone.
Thank you.
God bless you, everyone.
Thank you so much for your time and everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Pastor, thank you so much for taking us, giving us a breakfast on Saturday.
Yes, sir. I
And
hope
thank you.
the breakfast was tasteful.
It was
Yes, it
very
was. Yeah, it was great.
Sumptuous.
It was great. Yeah, thank you, Pastor.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.